Welcome to Tell the Story, a Jazz Journeys production. I'm Earl Brown. It's been said that we all have a story to tell. It might be fresh in our minds, it might be left in writings on stone or lost with traces in sand, or it might be staring right at us in mirrors as we try to find ourselves. Yes, we all have a story to tell that's worth listening to. So go ahead and tell the story. We're very excited to have with us today for another podcast, and this time as our guest we have Alexis Drew. She's a Gen Z influencer, she's a writer, she's a journalist. She does a lot of things in the world of acting and music. Welcome to another episode of Tell the Story, Alexis.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Question, you do a lot of things, and we're going to get into some of those things that you're very involved with. But for our audience, how would you define a Gen Z influencer?
So a Gen Z influencer, or also known as Generation Zoom, we are known as the creative trend-setting group, right? We set these trends, we're very innovative, whether it be fashion, music, or even political stuff, right? We have this scene where we're very much involved in technology, what's tech savvy, and also social media. That's the biggest thing for influencers, is their whole entire revenue of work or their career is based around social media. So it's based around sharing themselves, what they think, what they like, their opinions, things about themselves. And I feel like that's really what sets a Gen Z apart, right? Is the fact that everything they're doing is online and viewed by the public in modern day time as well as live time, because a lot of people stream, etc. And that's really what's defined a Gen Z influencer, is social media.
So you would say that you're more so on the cutting edge of a lot of the things that we see going around today?
Yes, I would. I think it's really hard for someone who is in Gen Z to not be, because of the fact that everything we know and we learn is going to stem from something online in some way, right? I do associate myself with being an influencer, because in order to market your own brands, you do have to kind of become an influencer regardless. But I also think that I associate myself with other categories, such as a journalist.
Now, in addition to being a journalist, you're also a community leader, and I say activist because I see a certain level of activism in what you're doing. Tell us about your leadership and your activism and the things that you're doing in the community as to how you're making an impact.
Yeah, so in the past, my first ever organization, I would have to say, would be the Accountability Initiative, which is a organization that I started with a few of my friends in high school. It was around the pandemic era, and we were just thinking about a lot of the things that happened that summer, which had a lot of microaggressions, a lot of racism, discriminatory actions, and there were no precautions being taken. So we noticed that we live in a very diverse area, and we wanted to kind of solve the issue from within, more from a student's perspective, so that we're giving students voice and authority. That was the whole purpose, was giving people of color, students who feel underrepresented, authority. So it went through, we had meetings with the Board of Ed and all that stuff, and now it's run by my friend Andrew. There's several different chapters at different colleges now. And I have also stemmed out to start my own organization called Re-Evolution. 2 words in one, revolution and evolution, which I think are the main things focusing when it comes to advocacy. And I'm doing this with a group of people that also graduated from Drexel University. They're really nice advocates themselves. We go to protests, we run events. We also try to raise money for situations so that we can give community resources. And I think that this is something I've always been passionate about, is making sure that everyone feels that they are being represented and in the way that they want, right? I feel like there's not enough speaking in the communities amongst each other. It's more so, what do I want and what do I need and how do I want it to be solved? And we're kind of trying to breach that and make it a thing where everyone can have an open conversation about these things and work together towards one goal. So that's definitely a touch into my community leadership realm and expertise.
Let's talk about some of these social media platforms and other ways that, and things and vehicles that you're using to get your message across. Let's talk about that.
Yes. So I would definitely say that I use Instagram the most. Obviously, that's how you connect to a lot of people. Everyone usually has some form of Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is, some type of social media platform. And I feel like that's the broadest way to reach out, but also in person. There's also a lot of people who don't have technology or don't use Instagram and like to be off the web. So we start to do things face front, which is tablings and going to community events and meeting people, speaking to other organization leaders, getting connected, exchanging contact information. I think that's the largest thing, is to kind of take the greatest of both ends. So you're getting the tech savvy people, but you're also getting the people who like pen and paper, right? And then you're bringing those two together. And with that, there's more coherence, I feel like, because there's so many different ideas and perspectives being tossed around. And I feel like that is the main way to do it, is to get involved, get yourself out there, and also trying to stay with the trends, because nowadays everything's evolving so quickly. I feel like that's the best way for anything to kind of progress, is to also progress with the time that it's in.
Based on the things that you just got through explaining, would you also say that being an entrepreneur that you are is also a way of promoting a positive ego?
Yes, I would say in a way, yes. I do use my entrepreneurship to kind of push the message that I'm trying to portray. And I would say that that is to just remain positive and to help others, and to not really think of the opportunities that you have as something just for you, but for other people as well. So I do think entrepreneurship helps you when it comes to branding yourself, because then again, you are essentially a brand that you're working to market. I don't think it's the only way to do that. Obviously, having regular conversations on a day-to-day and just looking up after the people that you care for is also another way. But I think entrepreneurship has become a big way as of recently in today's world, and probably has been for a while. So
when I look at all the things that you're doing and all the messages that you're sending out, how do you view ego tripping? Are you ego tripping, or how do you view it?
I wouldn't say that I'm ego tripping. And I'll say this, I view ego tripping as utilizing everything to gain pride or build ego, I would say. And I don't use these passions to build my ego, right? And I also anything that makes you happy or makes you feel successful or great is going to obviously boost your ego. But I don't think that the entirety of what I'm doing is based on ego at all. I think it's just something that I really enjoy and I'm really passionate about. And I think that's what makes the difference. Even when it comes to creating something, some people do it for different reasons. I just know that my reason is to give back, and also to enjoy what I do while I'm doing it, to stay passionate, and also to just remain authentic to those that I know are also remaining authentic to the same message that I have.
You've been listening to Tell the Story, but stay tuned, because there's so much more to come. That's coming up next.